Okay, so um, I will just tell a story that I don't really think about a lot, but if I kind of reflect on how I grew up, it definitely played like a significant role in how I developed into who I am today. Um, I will try to sketch a little bit of a background idea about myself. So I have found that impressions and influences and impulses from the outside world, they tend to be very intense for me. So loud noises, a lot of people, like hypersensitivity to external impulses, very sensitive. Not only sounds or sudden instances, but also people and their emotions and my own emotions. So I tend to have a very sensitive organ, if you will, for how people feel in a room or how people kind of act. Like I have a very subtle feeling for these things, very, very sensitive. And I feel like the emotions that I'm experiencing are a lot more intense than a normal person would feel emotions. So I have struggled a lot with this growing up. Every time I experienced something painful, I felt like it was like very, very painful. If I'm happy, I can be like super joyful or ecstatic sometimes even. And if I'm sad, I can be super sad. Angry, I can be like raging. So it's everything is like intensified. And my mother told me that I actually, when I grew up, I was a very sensitive kid. Like everywhere I went, I instantly felt like the aura in the room, or like I had a very, very, very sensitive organ for to feel spheres and like people, their moods. And so in my high school years, I fell in love with this girl, and it was actually the first girl that I actually kind of approached myself to tell her that I kind of liked her or something. And like I was very happy she kind of reciprocated my feelings in a way, and so we kind of got together. How it goes in high school, like, oh, we're a couple now. And I was really into her, like a lot. But I have always been a guy who was very quickly with his puberty and developed rather fast. So my voice dropped when I was very young. I had like body hair, all that stuff. And with that, of course, sexuality develops very quickly. And so with her, I felt like I really wanted to be intimate with her. And she was not ready for that. Like she was not ready, just not ready. And at that time, you don't have the experience and the scope of view that allows you to see the problem as it is. Namely, she is not ready to be intimate, right? But at that time, you see it, at least I did, see it as my fault. Like, she doesn't want to be intimate with me because of me, right? And so I wanted to hold hands with her in the school and wanted to like kiss her and everything. And she was like very reluctant to do that. Like sometimes she held my hand, but not always. And like I was very, I mean, it bothered me because I was questioning myself, like, what am I doing wrong? What's the problem here? And then at the same time, so a little bit, we go back a little bit again, because it's necessary to understand the context. So the first year of high school, I had a very, very good friend. Like we became like best friends, like the typical high school best friend relationship. when school's out and you get home, you call him, you know, like really close. We share everything, we talk about everything, we go to school, we go back home, like all the time we're together, right? And I felt like he was a really good friend. Like I really liked him. Like I went to his house, he came to my house, all that. And we spent like a lot of time. But then the second year, I kind of developed feelings for this girl, and I approached her, and then I kind of wanted to spend time with her, obviously. But my friend, he was really jealous, very jealous, because I spend time with her now, and he had to kind of share me, right? And he always blamed me for putting him in the second spot. Like, you're putting me second place now. She's now your priority. Everything I've done for you. Oh, like, you know, you put me in the second spot. You constantly put me in the second spot. And it torn me apart, because I really valued him as a friend, but I also wanted to spend time with a girl that I liked or loved, or still don't know what love means, by the way. But like that I really was into, right? So it was very hard for me to divide my time and try to give him the feeling that I still value him as my best friend and I want to spend time with him, but he also needs to understand that I like my girlfriend and that I obviously want to spend time with her. And like after 3 months, I really felt like something was off with my girlfriend. Like she was like acting like weird, and like because of the sensitivity, I can like very quickly feel if something's off. So I kind of confronted her with that. Like I told her like, hey, I really want to talk with you. I feel like there's something wrong here. And so I still remember the place where we went. Like I start to get emotional when I talk about it, but it's fine. So we went to a place called Zed in Ghent, and it's like a shopping mall. And we were down where you can like sit and eat something. And I just sat there with her on like a bench kind of thing. And I just told her like, hey, what's wrong? I feel like something's off. I don't understand what's wrong. And she's like, yeah, actually, for over a month now, I don't really feel anything for you anymore. But I didn't know how to tell you and all that. I was like, wow, like, why didn't you just tell me a month earlier? Like, I felt like something is off for a month now already. Like, why? And she was like, yeah, I was scared or whatever. I don't really remember what she said exactly, but only thing I know that I was really hurt because I felt like she lied to me in a way, you know? And then I immediately, like, after that, I was really blaming myself for not spending enough time with her because I wanted to kind of keep my friend happy, right? So I thought like, this is my fault. Like I spent too much time with my best friend and she felt like I didn't want to hang out with her or whatever. And that's why she didn't feel anything for me anymore. And a week later or something, or not even like 5 days later, I don't remember the exact time span, but my best friend, he then all of a sudden fell in love with another girl from my class, and he dropped me like a brick. Like I didn't exist anymore for him. He didn't talk to me. He didn't call me. Nothing. It was all his girlfriend. He went with her home. He went with on the train, in class, in the playground, everywhere. Only her. I didn't exist anymore. And I was so angry. I was so fucking angry. So angry because I was like, dude, how could you do this? I mean, I felt like I sacrificed my girlfriend for him. And then he dropped me like a brick. And I had such a hard time kind of forgiving him for doing that, because I felt like he really hurt me and he didn't understand what I was feeling. especially because I'm so sensitive to all this stuff, right? Like he didn't care. He really didn't care. At least that was how I felt. I'm not sure if he actually didn't care, because later he still kind of tried to be there for me in a way, but I don't know, it like something broke when he did that. And around that time, because you see, like I still get very emotional when I talk about this stuff. So back then it was even worse, more intense, right? So me being a 15-year-old hypersensitive kid that doesn't know what's happening and that doesn't understand what is going on, you can't cope with that intense pain. So what I did is, I've always been like a perfectionist type of person, and I decided, okay, if I can't control the outer world, I will try to control myself. And I really turned inward, and the one thing you have really control over is what you eat or don't eat. So I tried to exert control by not eating. I tried to control a scale, and I really slipped into a very severe eating disorder for 5 years. And I was really, 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 really unhappy, very depressed. I know that I felt like I couldn't laugh. Like I laughed with jokes and I laughed at people, but I was not laughing. It was not laughing, and it felt so weird because I wanted to laugh, but I couldn't. And I felt really unhappy for like all high school, basically. Like I had good moments and school was nice, and I was able to work hard and get good grades, and I really put a lot of effort into getting good grades because I felt like if I didn't, I was a lazy failure. So I had a lot of like the perfectionism also went into my grades. And I really felt really bad if I had bad grades, but I didn't really show it to other people. But I felt like it was very bad if I didn't get the grades I wanted to. So then something that then added to my bad feelings was that the girlfriend that kind of told me she was not really feeling anything from me anymore. 3 months later, she kind of got together with a guy from the year higher, and all of a sudden I saw her walking on the playground hand in hand and hugging and kissing and doing everything I wanted to do with her. And I was devastated. I was so jealous, like so jealous. It was devastating, like excruciating jealousy. I felt it like in a physical sense even, like it was a very, very intense emotion for me. Firstly, because I was envious of the fact that he was able to do with her what I wanted to do, that he was a year older, so I thought maybe that's the reason, or he was more attractive, or I don't know what it was. I thought it was my fault, but it's not, of course. He just wasn't ready, but I still have trouble kind of accepting that or something, I think. So yeah, that really gave me a very intense, like again, the hypersensitivity that intensifies all the emotions. The jealousy was horrible, and like I didn't tell anyone back then. Like I kept it for myself. I didn't act it out. I've always been someone who really does a lot of introspection and doesn't necessarily act out my feelings. So people, I don't think people knew I was so jealous, but for me it was really intense. And that's also when I kind of decided like, hey, this is not right. Feeling this intense jealousy is not okay. I have to kind of figure out what this means and how this works and what it actually is. And that's why jealousy to me is one of the most interesting emotions there are, because I feel like it points straight towards insecurities you have. Nobody has the power to make you jealous. Nobody. It's only you. Always you. And I really found that out through the years by reading about what is jealousy, how does it, where does it come from? There is a biological basis for jealousy. I found that too. But when I speak from personal experience, whenever I feel jealousy, it's a signpost towards this is where you're insecure. And that really learned me to challenge this feeling and to kind of go look for the jealousy and then try to get to the root and try to solve the issue. But so my whole high school, I was suffering like a severe eating disorder. I've been hospitalized twice. I was about to die. Like, it was very severe. My doctor told me, like, I am so surprised that you didn't die from a heart attack. Like, your body is so weak. I can remember when they tried to take blood to test my internals. My body didn't want to give out the blood, so it took like a half an hour to really take in like small ampule of blood, because your body is like, I need to hold on to everything I have because it's so weak. Now when I take blood, it's like it flows out. So it was a very, very dark period for me. And I remember the last year when we went to Romania with my classmates. We went there for like 2 weeks or something. And I was so scared of going there because I had to leave my kind of safe environment, right? Like at home, I can choose what I eat, how much I move, what I do, right? Everything I can decide. But on the trip, you can't. Like, it's your classmates, you're in the car, you're staying at the house, like everybody's cooking together. Like, you can't control a lot of things. So I was so scared. And at some point, because my parents kind of always knew what was going on. I mean, I have a very good relationship with my parents. I can talk about anything. I'm very grateful, by the way, for how they raised us. My brother, I have a younger brother, 1 year and a half younger. They really put a lot of time and effort into making us feel secure and safe, and that they will not judge us and that we can share with them anything. So they were always very closely involved with how I felt and everything I went through. And at some point, it was on the table for me to actually not go to Romania because I was like too afraid. But I decided to actually do it, and it was a really good decision to actually go, because it really took me out of my prison in a way. And it was there that I kind of, so it's some sidetrack that I have to mention. In the last year, you have like a project, personal project, and you do kind of a presentation in the end of the year or the mid of the year, whatever. And one girl in my class, she had like a monologue kind of acting play that she performed. Like, she designed this, she wrote it herself, she performed it herself, and it really resonated with me. Like, I cried when I saw her do that. I really cried because I thought it was so touching. Like, I can really cry. I like crying because it makes me feel I am very in touch with my emotions, and I like that. I'm not ashamed. So I saw her perform that play, and it really resonated with me, because she was like, I feel like I'm such a outstander, like I'm not part of the whole, I feel like I'm left out, like I feel like I don't fit in. And I really felt like her a lot of the time. Also because I did it myself, right? I distanced myself by not eating with everybody, by like doing things that, so I really did it myself mainly, but it really resonated with me, like how she felt. And in our last trip with everybody to Romania, we went on a walk somewhere, like in the mountains, yeah, on a hike. And I wanted to talk to her. Like I just walked up, and I said, "Hey, I really liked your performance, and I felt like I could feel what you went through, and I felt similar feelings, and I just wanted to talk with her about this." And that really made me realize that, okay, firstly, people want to listen to what you experience. People have similar experiences, like you're not alone, like everybody has their own issues. And by doing that, I kind of start to feel like my classmates actually cared, like they really cared, like they were worried about me. Of course, I looked so unhealthy, like so skinny, my eyes like deep in my skull, like I was so unhealthy, and they were worried. And feeling that really gave me a feeling of these kids actually care about you. And I felt like people care more about others than they do care about me. Like I felt like when there were 3 people in the room, I was one of the 3. The 2 people got along better, and they got along with me always. And by talking with this girl, and then talking with some other people from the class, because I start, like, it's a momentum, right? An initial interaction, and then you kind of get a little bit more trust that people actually want to listen, and then you kind of share more. And by doing that, I talked with many people from my class, and I found out that they were worried about me, and they really want to help me, and they try to understand me, because most of them, they don't understand what's going on. They just see you doing certain behaviors, and they see you look unhealthy, and they kind of know what's going on, but they really don't. And they're like, what is this? What's up with this guy? And I don't understand why he's doing it, and all that. And by realizing that they actually wanted to listen, I wanted to talk, and cared, I felt like, oh, there must be something to me that they care about. And then I found, like, it's actually okay to be cared about. And I felt loved. I felt loved. I felt loved. And that kind of changed a lot of things, realizing that. Like I decided, okay, I will try to. I started to eat more again, and then I went through a phase of like extreme overeating. Partly because of you put so much restriction on yourself that when you decide to give in, it's like you have to eat for all the years that you haven't been eating. And that was also a very difficult phase for me, because like your body blows up, like you look so bloated, like you feel like shit, you feel so guilty. I felt like I was so disgusting in a sense. So that took also quite some time to kind of stabilize, I would say. But after that, I started university, my first year in university, and that year was an ecstatic year. Like, it was really remarkable how I kind of went back to how I used to be. Because when I was younger in kindergarten, I was the most popular kid on the playground. Everybody wanted to hang out with me. They were fighting to sit next to me. Everybody loved me. The grown-ups thought I was a super smart kid, well-raised. I was a super popular social person. Everybody loved me. I didn't see it. Like, I always thought, like, that was not true. Like, this is why I think that the perception is something that you really need to be aware of. Like, count the red things in the room, okay? But did you count the blue ones? You didn't, okay? Pay attention to the blue ones. And that's really something that hit me very hard, and that I realized later, that it's very important to be aware of the good things and not filter everything out and just focus on negative things. Like, it's stupid when 10 people talk to you, they all say good stuff, and then one person says something slightly off, and that's the thing you remember. It's retarded. It's retarded. And it makes you feel bad, and it's not good. And so that year in uni, my first year, I made many friends. I felt like I finally could really laugh. It was such a weird feeling. Like, I can remember one time, I don't know why, somebody cracked a joke or something. I was laughing. I could, like, this feels so good. It's been so long since I was able to really laugh. And that really hit me. Like, I realized, like, wow, you have been unhappy for such a long time. And it actually feels really good to feel good. That was a funny realization to have. And I kind of, that year was like a very, very interesting thing to experience and to witness. And I feel like I've always been a person that really has to experience extreme situations in order to be able to position myself. Like, I have to find out the most extreme part of the spectrum in this direction, and then the other direction, and then I have a good point of reference, and then I can kind of position myself. Like, now I feel like I'm a lot more balanced in a way. Like, I still can really laugh and have a good time. I can also feel sad, but I'm not like extremely sad. I'm like extremely ecstatic anymore. And when I feel sad, I can relate that to when I felt like really sad, and then it really allows me to not get sucked into it too much, because I'm like, okay, I feel off, it's fine. Like, in relationship to how I used to feel, this is not bad at all. And so that really raised my awareness on how I felt a lot. And I feel like this is really something that shaped me as a human being. And it's also, and I see this coming back again and again, people who suffered from something really deeply, after they kind of get out of it, they get really passionate about helping others that are in the same situation. And I feel really passionate about helping others that are in a similar situation, not necessarily eating disorders, but just people who really struggle emotionally, depression, anxiety, all that. Because I know what it feels like. And I felt a lack of first-hand experience. I've seen many therapists in my life. When I was younger, I really didn't see why they would help me. I didn't like going there, because I felt like, how can you help me when you don't know what it's about? You've read the books. Sure, I can read books. I can read as many books as you did. That doesn't mean you're qualified to actually know what's going on. And I always felt like, okay, you can tell me what to do. I can figure it out myself. If it's in the books, then I can just read the books. So that always has been kind of a problem for me when I looked for a therapy, because I always had like a repulsive attitude towards therapy. Um, and in hindsight, I shouldn't have had that. But then again, I went, and indirectly it helped me because I experienced what it is like to talk to a therapist, and they ask you certain questions, and it forces you to kind of think about stuff in a different way. And I'm sure indirectly it influenced how I kind of went through all this, sure. But the one thing I really lacked was the first-hand experience, and that is something that I want to provide. I really want to solve, like not solve, but at least provide a solution for a problem that I faced that I would wish would have been different back then. Not that I hold grudge or anything, not like that, but it makes me very engaged to want to actually fill this gap and provide people with this kind of service. So that is something that I really value, helping other people dealing with their suffering mentally. I don't necessarily care about fixing people's wounds and all that. Like that's not really what I'm all about. But their mental issues and their mental suffering is something that I want to relieve or help relieve at least. So right now I am trying to figure out how I will go about doing that, because I have also a lot of fears regarding that, because I feel like, okay, again, the perfectionism, the fear of failing. So I'm kind of scared starting this and really building something that will be of good use to many people. But I have faith that I will get there, because there's many people where I talked about this that told me there is literally zero chance that what you want to do will fail, because you have the passion, you have the intellect, you have the experience, you have the knowledge. So there is the only thing that's holding you back from actually succeeding is you. And that's something that I'm really working on right now, and that I would like to be able to overcome at some point. And I have faith that I will, but I'm still, of course, finding my way. And something that my parents told me, like, you're actually very good at being your own therapist, and figuring out what helps you in particular. And I feel like that is very true. I really try different things. I want to go different places, read different books, talk to different people, and then take out the things that I deem useful and apply it to myself. And that way I strive to always be better. And that's ultimately what I'm aiming for. To be my best version and to be able to provide that to other people who are in a worse position and who aim to better themselves. So yeah, that's kind of the story I wanted to tell. And I hope it's something that some people might find helpful and interesting. And I'm not afraid of sharing this and being emotional about it, because I feel like it's really genuine. It's a genuine emotion, and you can't judge genuine emotions. So yeah, thank you for listening.